I've been hearing so much sauce about the Metro Gold line.
Is it
Apparently
good?
it's pretty cool. There's a lot of hype about it.
Let me look at it. Maybe we should do that next after we're done with
That's
DC.
in the news. That's why I'm talking
Yeah,
about
I
it.
know, but I want to look at it.
Okay.
Metro Gold Line is operating on a long-term detour. It just opened. Oh. Wait, so does this like parallel? Oh, okay. So it goes like east from St. Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like what if the Green Line was extended but bus, basically. Cool. Very cool. Oh, and it has a busway. Wow.
Bougie, bougie.
Wow. Okay. Let's start l'episode.
Ahem.
Welcome to the internet, live from the Ghosts of Marriott Library Pass at the University of Utah. This is the Red Line Podcast. I'm your host, quote, legislative session staff, unquote, Dunstan, and these are my co-hosts.
Kyle, quote, Utah State University, close quote, Holland, and
Alex, quote, you won't find me in New Mexico, close quote, Fielder. Today we're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the 2025 Utah legislative session. So the cat just meowed. Find out why our legislatures are so bizarrely obsessed with giving the middle finger to Salt Lake City, and more after the news.
do.
Minneapolis Metro has once again proved its chops as a leading American transit agency this week, as their new Gold Line BRT has opened on time and under budget. The 10-mile frequent bus service is the first of 3 such lines that will open in the Twin Cities this year, setting Metro up for a true network renaissance with its upcoming light rail expansions.
Our inside sources say that the opening party was an absolute blast.
Who?
The deepest urbanist state.
Could you, you can cut it out and tell me who it is?
I don't fucking know. Random people in Discord I've never met.
Oh, because you're in those Discords. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Inside source. It's more for the lulz.
In other news, Canadian transit is thriving at a time when uncertainty is the name of the game all over the continent. The new Carney government has allocated $1.8 billion in capital funds to cities across the Great White North, setting Canadian transit up to succeed. Is this a move by the wily Canadians to make us look bad? I sure as hell hope so.
Well, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Now we just gotta blow up Doug Ford and they'll be set.
Doug Ford is fine.
I mean, what?
Doug Ford is a little bit harebrained, but he's not.
That might be an understatement.
He could be worse.
Could be worse is my favorite kind of worse.
Yeah.
He could be like an American conservative instead of a Canadian conservative. Because what a Canadian conservative does is take out bike lane on Yonge Street. And what an American conservative does is take away all your rights. So, you know what? I will take Doug Ford.
Yeah. That's true. He's more of a corruption case than a conservative case.
He's like,
this is really about highway development money.
Bro is Andrew Cuomo. Sorry to say. So
did the charges against Andrew Cuomo get dropped or something?
Yeah, now he's running for mayor of New York.
Again.
Yeah, well, because you see, what there's no better position to be corrupt in this country than the mayor of New York City. So
why could we just not drop cases against major politicians for fun?
No, we could not actually, because then we would have a functioning democracy, which would be bad. So
okay.
There's
no being rich enough to be above the law.
Someday I'll get there. I won't get there, viewer.
Life goals.
My life goal is not to be rich enough. Is never to have enough money to be able to get off of a charge.
I assumed your life goal was like a 27th story apartment or something, but
I would like a 27th story apartment. I would like, yes. Insert one of the 3 cities that I'm actually interested in living in. This has been the news.
Do.
Okay, and as promised in our previous episode, We are going
Time for the
to
positivity section.
Oh, wow, that was amazing. Yes, it's the positivity section. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do.
Wow.
Um,
Oh my God, this is
So-
going to be great.
what is one good thing that happened to you this week?
I don't know. Biked 90 miles last weekend and the weather was nice.
Did you say
pretty
90
good.
miles?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
That's impressive.
That would get you to Logan.
It was over 2 days, so I don't
Oh.
think I get bonus points for that.
That's
And
still
there were no
pretty
hills.
I got to
At all.
spend like an hour with my redacted yesterday, so that was fun.
Oh,
Mm.
wow. Commuting life.
The bike lane we proposed to City Council is going to start getting built soon.
No shit. Good for
Ooh.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took it long
Just
enough.
in time for me not to enjoy it.
Well, you'll be enjoying much.
Well, that is always how these sorts of things are.
I'll be enjoying...
What's the saying about society and old men planting trees that they'll never see the shade of?
Wow, Kyle, that was very profound of you.
That one.
Are you calling Alex old?
It's no.
I'll take wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you should take planting trees too, even if that's purely metaphorical.
I'd
We
love
should
to
get
plant a
like
tree.
for the introduction and outro of this section, like from the YouTube audio. Oh, we can't use that though. Damn. I was gonna say we
Wow,
should get some like
mind-blowing.
very waltz of the flowers and play it over this because it's our peaceful section, you know.
What the hell's Waltz of the Flowers?
Kyle, aren't you supposed to be a classical music enjoyer?
I'm Googling it. Ooh, Tchaikovsky. When did Tchaikovsky die?
Many years ago.
Too soon.
Forever ago. Well, I'm sure if we I play it on my piano or something, we can have it.
It's only his most famous, please.
Oh, okay. Ooh, from the Nutcracker. Yeah, that would do it.
So.
Oh, yeah, it died 1893. So we can have it as long as I just MIDI it or play it on my piano or something.
Maybe I'll get my coworker to play it since he's a professional piano player. I think he'd do that. for me.
Bougie.
I think he'd do that for
we
me.
could
He
dip into
owes
the
me
budget
because
too.
I think he owes me because he was supposed to give me something today and didn't. So, if you're listening, it's fine. So, this has been the
This is-
positivity section.
Wowza / personal ads.
Awooga.
/ connections.
So, the topic of our episode today is SB 195 and other sort of brackets, stupid close brackets.
There's gonna be a lot of SBs and HBs and shit. We're talking Utah legislature. Only the wildest, dumbest. You know what? I'm not gonna make stupid, shallow insults right now. We can get into the details later.
That's right. So, why am I qualified to talk about this? Well, dear viewers, you may have noticed that we sort of disappeared for like 3 months.
We did. We got a few comments about that actually. So thanks for keeping an eye out for us, folks.
Yeah, we're not dead. We were not dead the whole time, actually. What was happening is that I was working at the lovely Utah legislature as session staff, which is also known as an intern. But the thing about interns in Utah is that it's not what you think of when you think of an intern. But that's beside the point.
They do all the work.
They kind of do. I didn't specifically
For
because my
criminally low
legislator is
pay.
chill, but like a lot of them do. So,
Yeah.
so I have sort of seen all of this crap firsthand and written like
You were the sausage making machine.
I was unfortunately the like handle on the sausage machine. They crank me and out comes legislation.
That's a funny way of putting it.
So
And you definitely got paid above minimum wage. Definitely.
barely. We calculated it out. We thought it was
Wow.
about $8.25.
Would you look
Ooh.
at that?
Like a whole
That's only
dollar?
like $5 less than an entry level fast food job.
It's like a whole $1 above minimum wage. So,
Would you look at that?
but I got
Wow.
like little coins too. I'll have to show you them next time you come over. No, they give me
Ooh, merchandise.
all
Yeah,
these
that'll do it.
commemorative coins. I have one for Governor Spencer J. Cox, which is cool. I have one for Speaker of the House, Mike Schultz, which I think is kind of lame. But my favorite one is the one I got from Deidre Henderson. So that being the lieutenant governor. So I have all these.
Cool.
I also have a little lapel pin that says House of Representatives, 66th Legislature. So I was...
Do you get one of those flag pins, or is that only in Designated Survivor?
That is only in the U.S. Congress. In the Utah legislature, you get like...
As depicted in Designated Survivor, the Netflix series.
Yes, as depicted in Designated Survivor, the Netflix series. Hit ABC sitcom The West Wing or whatever else. Veep, I guess.
Yeah.
Love Veep.
You like Veep?
I love Veep.
Oh, Veep's a good show.
Yeah.
But anyway, or Madam Secretary, which I don't like. But anyway. So before we
you were in the sausage machine. So let's talk sausages.
Let's talk sausages. And I think we should, for those of us who are not familiar with how the Utah legislature works, discuss
I'm just a bill. Oh, I'm only a bill.
How a bill
Going
becomes
up to
law.
Capitol Hill.
Yes, and I think our Capitol Hill is more of a hill than Capitol Hill, so I think we can
I know,
lay
right?
claim to that song. But
Lissass other places.
for those of you who are not familiar, we're going to go over it really quick. So the Utah legislature is a bicameral legislature. That means it has two houses called the House of Representatives, which has 75 members, and the Senate, which has 29 members. Both of these bodies can originate bills, but both of them have to pass a bill for it to go into law. So normally a bill is introduced, it's read the first time, then it goes to committee. If the committee passes it, it goes to the full body. If you're in the House, it gets read a second.
Do they actually read the entire bill out loud to the people?
Reading just means reading the title. So.
Oh, okay. That seems. Can we like strike a balance in there between the full legal text and the title?
Well, the titles of these bills are often somewhat long. So, and that's literally impossible in 45 days. Oh yeah, we should mention the Utah legislature is constitutionally limited to 45-day general session.
Yeah,
So-
our quote citizen legislature unquote designed to help people have normal jobs and arrive by wagon from across the state.
Wagon or Bamberger car. Yeah.
Yeah, all normal stuff here. Definitely not a little bit outdated and definitely not the cause of a little bit of trouble.
So after it comes back to whatever body it's in from the committee, this is where the House and the Senate diverge a little bit. So the Senate has something called a second reading, where they debate the bill, then they vote if it can go on the third reading calendar, which is like the calendar for final passage, like the list of bills for final passage. In the House, you just read it and then put it on the third reading calendar. And then you pass it, and it goes through the whole thing in the other body. So if you're in the House, it goes to the Senate. You have to do the whole thing again. If you're in the Senate, it has to go to the House and do the whole thing again. Unless it's the last 3 days when they just suspend rules and do whatever they want and pass whatever they want. So, and then the governor can sign.
It's at the beginning and the end of the session. They set up the dumbest shit.
They do. So then the governor can sign or veto. Most of the time he signs, but he does have
And interestingly, we do have a line item
he does
veto
have
in
a
the state
line
of
item
Utah.
veto. Yeah, that's not super common, and it sort of makes up for the otherwise weakness of our executive, because our executive is quite weak. Like, our legislature really runs stuff in this state, which is a good thing.
Noticed.
Which is a good thing. Or would be if it wasn't such, interesting people.
It beats having an overpowered executive, as we might have noticed.
See last episode. We're going to go really quick through this, like, not too much fun, but, maybe not really quick, because there are a lot of them, but let's just list off
this is going to be a while.
The evil shit the legislature passed that is not related to public transportation. Number one.
This being a selection we made. Viewers, please submit any evil shit we missed in the comments. There's a lot of evil.
Yeah, I just did the things that I remembered being mad about, my legislator being mad about, and then looked at the ACLU's page to see if there was anything I missed. So,
Uh,
number 1 is Senate Joint Resolution 2, which would amend the Constitution to make ballot initiatives dealing with a tax increase of any kind get a 60% threshold to pass. This will be
wow, another year of ballot initiatives that seek to weaken ballot initiatives.
How interesting. This is subject to voter approval, and I would like to point out 2 things. Number 1, how well did that work out for California exactly? And number 2, this is going to mean that UTA is never going to have a major expansion again. If it passes.
At least the fact that this is only targeting tax increases and indicates a good comprehension of what the 60% threshold does. Because I don't really know the history, but California set a 60% threshold, and we can now see with our 2020 hindsight that
good thing.
60% threshold does not stop dumb shit from
Good
getting
thing.
passed. They pass all
59
sort of dumb shit.
Good thing loses, 40.0001 to 59.99999. Evil thing succeeds 60-40. Or like 70-60.
But the one thing it really hits is funding measures. Because every single funding measure is like an effort to get everybody in the area that is enough people in the area that is voting to benefit from the funding measure to want to vote for it. I think a great example of this is Salt Lake City's 2018 Funding Our Future bond package. So anytime the city wants to pass a bond, everybody in the entire city limits has to vote. So they can't just do a bond for like one project. They need to package together a few different projects to get enough of the voter base engaged and see the direct benefit and vote for the whole package. So everybody gets a little bit, everybody votes. But this is not magic. It's hard to get high thresholds on funding measures because it's hard to make like one thing. For example, the Utah Transit Authority providing mass transit benefit literally everybody in insert area. Many complaints have been had about this. So a 60% threshold is basically lethal to funding measures.
Yeah, like this, just any time UTA wants to build anything, they're going to have to get 60% of people in the entire service district to agree. And that is a very difficult proposition. So
yeah, like any one project, not a chance. And even like a big package of projects, like we did Frontlines off of a sales tax increase that covered all up and down Salt Lake County.
57 to 43, I think.
So that wouldn't have passed 60%. Like even a
we
big
would not
thing
have,
that hits a bunch
we
of
would
different
not
areas
have
would
front
not
runner
pass.
if this law existed. So it's bad.
Oh my god. It's very bad. And frankly, I don't understand the justification for having a 60% threshold. Like if we were voting on like the death penalty or something, sure.
Because taxation is theft, and we need to make sure that local governments can't do any taxes that we don't like in the legislature. We should control all money
but
and all things.
But taxes that we like is okay. Yeah,
Well, yeah, flat tax and other regressive taxes.
Wouldn't this
The legislature is not anti-tax. They just want total control.
Yeah, overall funding in the state, basically.
We saw the ballot measure last time about appropriating education funding.
Yeah, I was going to ask, wouldn't this hinder education as well?
Yeah, because you're never going to be able to pass a bond measure again. So...
Oh,
it seems...
shit. Like...
This is just so dumb, because nothing's going to get increased funding, and then they're going to go, oh, look, this thing is working worse now.
Yeah, so let's give all the money to vouchers.
Let's defund it more.
Almost as though that's the point.
They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is a measure to wrestle away local control over funding of literally anything.
Well, and the great thing about this is that it only has to pass by 50%.
Which is so dumb. They should make anything that increases the threshold pass by that threshold.
I think it was my legislator introduced a sort of joke amendment to make it do that, but the Republicans of course were like, well then this wouldn't pass, and it's like, yes, very good, you figured it out.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on to the next bill, House Bill 69. Nice. Thank you. It screws with grandma in a way that people find concerning, basically makes a judge review request instead of a panel. It's supposed to speed things up, but people are worried it will be less accountable.
Last I checked, grandma was hard enough as is.
This is public information, right?
Yeah,
Grammar
it is.
Request?
It is.
Okay.
Because, the Salt Lake Tribune keeps getting sort of access to documents that the legislature is uncomfortable with, so we're going to make it harder to get a grammar request.
That's awesome.
Despite those documents being fundamentally public information.
Well, yeah, because, we don't actually believe in a free and open society. Which brings us to House Bill 77, which makes it illegal to display any flag that isn't on an approved list at schools or on government property now.
Holy fuck.
Any government property. Including municipal
so
properties.
obviously targeted. They just don't want gay people to feel welcome
It's
in
just
public.
fucking Trevor Lee and his usual psychopath Nazi bullshit that he loves to do. So, yeah, it was specifically targeted at pride flags in schools, but they expanded the scope so that it now covers any building owned by the government, including municipal governments. So that's why Salt Lake City has a pride
obvious.
Flag up in the middle of March, because they're sort of protesting this before it's illegal for them to do so.
Yeah.
But who makes a approved list?
Trevor Lee in the legislature.
Well, that's
It's
fucking
in the
awesome,
bill.
isn't it?
It's in the bill. There's a list. And it was clarified on the floor that the Nazi flag and the Confederate flag would be allowed, but not a pride flag. So
I was just about to ask about those too.
And Trevor Lee was very pissed when that got published by the reporters.
Well, he said it. I heard him say it. I was sitting
He said it. The reporters quoted him.
I was
and then he
sitting
got
in there.
pissed at them.
like, oh, you did. You're taking me out of context. No, we were all sitting there. I know the person who wrote the article. Anyway, House Bill 226, which would deport effectively any immigrant convicted of a crime against people. This bill is a lot better than it used to be. But when it was originally like, if you get a Class A misdemeanor, you're deported, regardless of whether you have documented status or not.
I don't think it's that hard to get a Class A misdemeanor.
No, but they changed it to just misdemeanors that are crimes against people. So crimes against property
It's a
you won't
bit
get
better.
deported for anymore.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Uh,
You'd be surprised by how many things are like varying amounts of massive crimes, but it's like maybe okay because they're rarely enforced. So like this is the sort of bill where law enforcement would selectively enforce random niche laws against people they don't like and or are racist against in order to deport them.
Yes. House Bill 252 makes it illegal for jails to begin providing transition treatments to people in custody.
What the fuck? Stop practicing medicine without a medical license.
Yeah, this is also cruel and unusual punishment and will almost certainly be ruled unconstitutional. So
It had better. They haven't crippled the court yet, have they? Our Utah Supreme Court's
this would
been
be
doing all right so
this
far.
would be a federal court of appeals. So
Okay.
because it's against the U.S. Constitution, not the Utah Constitution.
Okay. That's gonna be a fun interim until
I
that
love.
gets repealed.
Don't you
for
love
being-
the state wasting taxpayer money fighting the federal government so it can be horrible to people in jail? Isn't that nice of them?
Probably. You could probably also count the number of trans folks in Utah jails.
On a finger. Yeah, it's just like a couple years ago they made a law outlawing 4 specific trans girl children from playing sports.
What the fuck?
Yeah, when they passed that
This
law,
is
there
just
were
so petty and hateful.
they did a count and there were four trans kids playing sports in the state of Utah, and they
4
outlawed
people.
them specifically.
That's
so
cruel.
It's not cool.
Well, great use of money.
I love the state. Now they have a board that examines. It's a whole thing.
What, the penis inspection board?
Pretty much, yeah. And they have denied everyone that has come before them so far. So I wonder if this is just it seems to be kind of a kangaroo court. But I digress. From what might be the worst bill passed this session, House Bill 267, which has outlawed public sector employees from entering into collective bargaining agreements with their employers.
Oh, yeah. I've seen all the people collecting signatures for the referendum against this. They've got till mid-April to get 8% of the state's population to sign. They can get it on the ballot to repeal this one.
I think they're going to succeed because Anyway, there's a petition going around, as Kyle said, to put up a ballot measure to reveal this if the legislature doesn't ignore another ballot measure like they love
So
to.
if you see anybody shouting politics on like the street corner, very high chance it is to help your public sector unions out. So maybe go approach them and see about that.
But I think this will pass if it comes before the people of the voters of the state of Utah, because not only did my representative, who is a Democrat, so, not a fair sample, not get a single positive email about this bill. I don't know anyone who did. Like of all the interns, I can't remember anyone being like, I'm getting a lot of positive, or I'm getting any positive mail about 267. No, we were just all sitting in the intern office together bitching about how many stupid negative emails we're getting about 267. So don't you vote against or vote for that measure. Get rid of this stupid law. Let our firefighters and police officers and teachers have a union if they like. Thank you.
Yes, please.
House Bill 269 disallows trans people from living in dorms with people of their chosen gender.
What the fuck?
Because
what the goddamn fuck?
Because one girl in USU dorms was pissed that her RA was trans. So
Yep.
What the fuck? This has to be like illegal discrimination on a protected class or something.
Not under this administration.
Again, just such a waste of money for so few people.
Gender identity isn't a protected class anymore, Kyle.
Bruh.
So, House Bill 300 makes it way harder to vote by mail for no reason.
Oh my god, this is just the legislature trying to consolidate their power in the Republican super mega magnum gerrymander majority.
And it's not safe to vote via mail, because we had 2 cases of fraud in the last election, and like
wow,
7
2.
dead, and like 7 dead, or I think it was 200 dead people got a ballot that none of them turned in. So
because they're fucking dead and because it's a fucking crime.
So we need to comprehensively overhaul our voter system, because we lost in 2020 and we're still being bitches about it.
And if we lose, that must mean something is wrong.
Yeah,
not that the people don't want us.
You see, if they win, then that's the will of the people. They have a mandate to do whatever the fuck they want, even if no one voted for them to do it. Cough, cough, Donald Trump. And if they lose, then it was a cheat by the Democrats.
Fraud.
The Democrats could never legitimately win an election.
So what this bill will do is in 2029, we will stop mailing ballots to every eligible registered voter in the state. Mind you, you still already have to register, which is occasionally which is extra steps. But we'll stop just mailing people ballots, which is going to massively reduce voter turnout statewide.
It might. We can't say anything for certain, because no other state that has mail-in voting has repealed it yet, so we don't know what'll happen.
My bet is that the intent of the bill is that it will reduce voter turnout, especially among groups of people who are likely to vote Democrat.
Yet another bill that no one got any positive mail about. So... Yeah. House Bill 465 requires Salt Lake City to cooperate with the state in establishing the homeless Gestapo.
The state gives us enough trouble with funding carrots and sticks. What are they on to now?
So Casey Snyder, who is from like freaking Paradise, Utah, has decided that he needs to dictate policy in Salt Lake City, because he saw a homeless guy when he came downtown for a jazz game.
Are we doing the city of the first class, county of the first class bullshit again? That only
no,
applies to Salt Lake City and West Valley City?
Yeah, specifically applying to West Valley City and Salt Lake City, and also Ogden, because they mess with the rules a little bit. But basically, all the cities that have a homeless shelter in them, so it's just Midvale, West Valley City, Salt Lake City, and Ogden, are required to enter into a partnership with the state to pay state troopers to break up homeless encampments. And if they don't, then they lose all federal funding. They lose all state funding.
The fuck? If the state wants to be evil, can't they do it on their own dime instead of trying to subdue municipalities into doing evil on their part?
Well, and here's the thing. Salt Lake City does not have a particularly tolerant attitude towards homeless encampments.
No, they don't. We're already being problematic enough on our own. We don't need more.
So, I mean, when I first moved here, there were a couple, but now they just all get broken up immediately. So,
And then move to different places, and nobody is better for it.
well, not even anymore. It seems like I don't know what's going on, but yeah. So we have to pay the Salt Lake City residents now have to pay the state to operate the homeless Gestapo. So thank you, Casey Snyder, Representative Casey Snyder, I should say. And many, many, many more. They tried to mess with balance of powers and a whole bunch of other dumb stuff. They required the state to keep a certain amount of its like payments in digital gold or some bullshit.
Okay, that's just funny.
I tried to get my representative to go out up on the floor and do the Cross of Gold speech at Ken Ivory because it's his bill. He always runs gold bills because he's really into precious metals. But like I tried to get my representative to do that. He's like, no, I'm going to vote for it. And I'm like, why? Oh, it's harmless. Oh, fair enough. So I don't remember. Maybe he voted for it. I don't remember. But it doesn't matter. So there was a lot of dumb stuff. Also, Nicolene Peck, who is maybe the silliest person we ever had in the legislature.
Mm-hmm.
She has been on an episode of World's Strictest Parents. She also has a YouTube channel about parenting. I strongly recommend looking it up if you want to relive your childhood trauma.
Interesting. I don't think many people are into that, but it exists apparently.
And she also tried to outlaw trans healthcare for adults. So,
what the fuck?
or effectively. So that
Stop
was
practicing medicine without a medical license.
well, but they know better than doctors
No,
and also trans
they don't.
people.
God, I hate this state.
First they came for the minors, then they came for the adults.
And you see why I'm like always wanting. No, it's just more proof that trans sports was never the issue, and they just don't want
it
trans
never
people
was.
to exist. They're just
they
assholes.
are climbing up the ladder towards eradication of trans people.
They're not climbing up the ladder. They said that at CPAC.
They're pole vaulting up it.
They're like they're taking the freaking express elevator.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was all very stupid. That being said, there were some good bills that passed. I forgot to write that down. Hold on. Can you look up Verona Malga and then look for her bicycle lane bill and let me know what number that is?
Oh, is that the no parking in the bike lane bill? Did that pass?
It did, and signed
Yay!
into law. So
Cool.
Woo!
So that was a good bill.
Awesome.
Thank you, Representative Malga. Also, I will point out one of my representative's bills, which I think might be the best thing to happen this year, which is pretty sad. It's House Bill 420. Nice.
Nice.
Yes. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is it about weed? Is it about weed?
No, it's about U.S. Magnesium installing a backup scrubber. So,
Oh,
Ooh.
the ones that dump all the shit into the lake.
no, something else. So,
Like an air scrubber, right?
yeah. So, U.S. Mag has not been operating for a while, but there is, I think, some kind of capital investment thing trying to get them back up and running because, as it turns
Great
out,
view of their plant from Antelope Island, by the way.
as it turns out, having a domestic source of magnesium is a good thing.
Yeah, no, they dig the majority of the entire country's magnesium supply out of the Great Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm. So it's important. But part of the process for refining these releases a lot of halogens, which are I was told, catalysts for formation of PM2s. So they just form
fun.
PM2 after PM2 after PM2 after PM2.5, PM2.5, not
So
PM2s.
nucleation.
Yeah, nucleation.
Nucleation for tire rubber instead of rain.
And this is especially chlorine and bromine, which are emitted from US Mag in very high quantities. Now, before they shut down, they were something like 10% of PM2.5s in Salt Lake County came from US Mag. And those were on days when their scrubber was working. But the problem is that chlorine and bromine, actually, as it turns out, are really corrosive. And so every couple years you have to every like 4 years you have to shut down your scrubber for, like 18 months to fix it because it's chlorine and bromine. And so then you just
And for the period, they were just dumping shit into the air.
Uncontrolled releases, making like the air quality just immensely, unimaginably worse whenever they're doing this. And so what this bill does is when US MAG goes back into operation, they are required to install some ducting to attach to like a bypass scrubber for a different chemical they have so that there are no more uncontrolled releases. And
now, this is a targeted bill I can get behind.
You have no idea how hard to get this bill through the Senate. You have no idea how hard it was to get this bill through the Senate.
Why was this hard? This seems like high benefit, low cost, and it doesn't stop U.S. Magnesium from doing anything.
Because the EPA does not regulate halogens because we're the only place in the country that has a problem with them. And so
there's not really a legal basis for regulating these.
No, there's a legal basis. It's the state can regulate it if it wants to. It's perfectly within the law.
Oh, true,
but they're just like, we don't want to be making any regulations that the federal government isn't forcing us to. This is over-regulation, woke, blah, blah, blah. So...
Oh, my God.
Is that what they actually said?
Pretty much.
Do they not have children? Do they not care about what their kids are breathing
It was
in?
on a Senate committee that only had one person from Salt Lake and Tooele counties. So they just don't care.
Oh.
Yeah, that checks out.
It was like Hinkins, who is like from southern Utah, and a couple of others. But it got through the Senate. Hopefully it will be signed by the governor. But that would be like a really positive effect of this legislative session if it happens.
For breathing.
That'd be great.
So
yeah, good targeted bill. They picked like one specific like actual physical real world problem impacting hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of real people.
No, it's millions.
And they found Yeah, great. And then they found a fix for it that costs a little bit of money, and other than that, doesn't really impact anything or anyone.
It doesn't cost any money. It costs the state.
Ducts cost money.
It costs the state basically nothing.
Well, it costs somebody money, right?
Right, but they already wanted to do it.
Insubstantial
this is just
amount of money.
It's basically nothing. Like in the scale of
it's teeth, but like
it's below $100,000. So it's
now
nothing.
we're talking.
It doesn't cost anything.
Wow.
Essentially zero cost, all benefits for millions of people. Like
And
that's a
Republicans,
targeted.
Yeah, and of course it was a nightmare to get passed. So
Yeah.
Of course it was.
it went through the House okay, but the Senate was not fun on that bill. I think we were in natural resources 3 different times with that. Anyway.
Oh God.
And
I
we
pulled
had
up
the
the
worst.
bike lane bill. HB 290. That one essentially adopts Salt Lake City's no driving or parking in bicycle lanes law as state law. Previously, it was perfectly legal to drive or just like straight up park in a bike lane, provided there weren't explicit like code compliant no parking signs posted, which rarely happens because that is comically expensive and comically
Except
unnecessary.
in West Valley, where on like certain roads there's just like a no parking sign every 20 feet for the bike lane, which is quite
Yeah,
funny.
there are some places that are great about this. I love that. But like now we've adopted Salt Lake City's rule, which is pretty good. It says you may not so much as even drive into a bicycle lane unless you're in the process of, turning into a driveway. You're an ambulance or a snowplow or whatever, or you're like parallel parking. So you can't do that. And you also can't stop, stand, or park in the bike lane.
Not that that's ever stopped anyone on 3rd South between State and Maine, but I digress.
No, it hasn't. But the existence of that rule means we can incessantly enforce it and fix some of the problem areas. And not so much for Salt Lake City. They're doing all right with their dedicated parking enforcement department. But this is like an important first step statewide in making bike lanes actually usable and not full of like random ass cars.
Yeah, we'll see how well enforced it is, because there's one place up here I'm specifically thinking of where this is a huge problem. So I'll have to check that out maybe at the end of the month.
Effective date is
if
May
anything's
7th,
changed.
so you might have
May
some time.
7th?
Woohoo. Yeah.
Okay,
And
I might have like 2
I think I
weeks.
might have... Yeah. And I think I might have brought this up on air before, but like Salt Lake City has a dedicated parking enforcement department, so they send people out in tiny cars and cute vests to issue monetary tickets or just a nice talking to people who are unhelpfully parked, as opposed to in other places where this would be the responsibility of the general purpose armed police department. So it would be really cool if we had like a county-wide meter maid department to enforce this rule. Maybe Cache County
I don't
could get
trust
their own
Salt Lake
too.
County to administer anything public safety related,
No, I don't.
which is why
That's a good
UPD
point.
is
Maybe
disbanding.
we should make some. Maybe we should make some like weird non-Salt Lake County coalition or something.
The Salt Lake County
Maybe we could
League
make
of Cities
UTA.
and Towns.
Maybe we could make UTA create a parking
The
enforcement
Salt
department.
Lake County, the City and County of Salt Lake Municipal Transportation Authority, which does everything.
San Francisco core.
Based. Okay.
If we can get a cute logo to paint on the red curbs, count me in.
And this brings to other transportation bills. Senate Bill 166. This one just changes governance at Point of the Mountain State Land Authority. There isn't really anything that directly changes transit plans, but it is something to have on your radar. Senate Bill 26.
Oh yeah, how's the point going?
It's going
Is
fine.
that coming anytime soon?
There are things
build
being
anything
built
yet?
there right now. So
Cool. I don't check often. It's a hard spot to get to.
won't be soon because you'll be able to take the blue line or the whatever line from Lehigh to there, but not to Draper. So Senate Bill 26 allows Salt Lake City to create a convention center reinvestment zone and tweaks the distribution formula for the Housing and Transit Reinvestment Zone Act. So just like,
Is that related to the big Ryan Smith money pit for rebuilding the convention center?
yes.
Interesting. So what does this bill do?
It tweaks affordability
Exactly.
ratios, and that's pretty much it, and allows Salt Lake City to create Ryan Smith's money pit. So
Oh,
Is
I
this
didn't know
going?
we needed more steps.
Is this going where the Salt Palace is now?
no, Salt Palace will stay. Just the area around it is apparently blighted. I say living. We're
Fucking Ryan Smith.
we're very blighted here. Next to as I look out my window, we're so blighted that we need a specific reinvestment district. So yes,
Well,
Yeah, let's blow
We're
up
gonna-
stuff
we're gonna
that is
tear
perfectly
down
fine and put more expensive stuff in the
the
place.
two buildings that are left of Japantown, or three buildings, excuse me,
They might. Is
because
what
they're
scares me.
because they're blighted.
Like Salt Lake City's committed to not blowing up any more of Japantown. They wanted to make a cute little thing out of Japantown Street. The state has no such commitment.
Well, sounds about right.
So anyway, that's what's going on with that. Senate Bill 174 is actually our first interesting one of the day. So this bill kind of changes the balance of power between the UTA Board of Trustees and the executive director. The executive director is now much more powerful. Has like
Interesting.
the ability to sort of do some stuff he couldn't do before and require the board to do certain things that he couldn't make them do before. So it's kind of an interesting bill. The really important part of this, though, is that it puts all major capital projects for UTA under UDOT, sort of
Oof.
finishing the work of a couple years ago. So
Oof.
I'm
And
kind
I
of
thought they were only taking over rail projects.
no, they're taking over all capital projects now. So it does make
Do
sense.
we think this will be beneficial in the long term?
I don't know. It makes a little bit of sense with BRT projects since that's all they build now. And you know who builds more roads
Well,
than anyone
since-
else in the state?
UDOT.
So
And because the BRT projects are all just roads projects and 3 trench coats.
then there you have it. So it might make sense. I'm not necessarily
guess we'll
opposed
find
to
out.
this.
Frankly, my only concern is if this were to delay any planned projects.
Well, 'cause
but
we
we're
know
a bit
it-
short on planned
Because
projects
we
because
know
we
it
aren't
delayed
getting any money.
Frontrunner forward by 2 years. So
Like at least.
no, because we have groundbreaking in 26 now instead of 24. So
Do we even have our federal grant money yet?
I think we have it, but will it stay is the question. So,
Okay, because the funding plan for Frontrunner 2X is about 2/3 federal grants.
yeah. So will it stay is the question. And the state is certainly not going to cover the extra since they're constantly creating a budget crisis for themselves. So, no, seriously, they spent this whole year whining about how they didn't have enough money to do anything that they wanted to do and then also cut taxes. So, like, I'm sorry, but I have
makes
no
perfect
sympathy for your
sense.
plight given that you caused it yourself.
So I'm on the Frontrunner 2X website looking at the schedule, and it has the schedule that you said: construction 2026 to 2029, train procurement starting this year, and a little asterisk at the bottom. Schedule is dependent on federal grants, which is a big we're fucked.
We are cooked.
So we'll see if this happens. Maybe if the UDOT handoff hadn't pushed it into Trump administration territory and we got some Biden administration grants.
I think that the state is
like,
gonna
I know
be
hindsight is
kicking themselves
2020,
for that.
but yeah. Like, they wanted like 600 million. There's no way we're getting that now.
And then that brings us to House Bill 523, which did not pass, but Representative JDP came through all of you Rio Grande plans. It would have created an advisory group at the state level to look into the feasibility of said plan. So if you like the Rio Grande
it's cool
plan,
to see how far the Rio Grande plan folks have been able to push stuff, get the word out.
yeah, you should, if you want it to pass, run it with a Republican next time.
Yeah, again, hindsight is 2020, but the Trump administration winning the big election kind of killed every Democrat bill in the entire state of Utah. Apparently,
Well, not
is the vibe I'm
exactly,
getting.
but kind of. But if you're going to put a bill with a Democrat and you want it to pass, Jennifer Daley Provo, she's a really good choice. So,
Cool.
but anyway, it didn't pass. So that brings us to the
All
big
right.
kahuna. Senate
Oh my
Bill
God.
195. Most of Senate Bill 195 is fairly inoffensive and rather wonkish tweaks to Utah's transportation policy, but there is
Until
/was
substitute number 3 was put forth by
we're on sub 7 now.
well, yeah, but the problematic part was originally introduced in sub 3.
No, it was in the bill as introduced, then it was out, then it was in substitute 3. Then
Oh, my bad.
Then it was out again. Then it was back in briefly. Now it's on substitute 7 and it's out. But not entirely out because there's still a lot of problematic things.
No, it's in an amended form. Anyways.
What? It's in?
Yeah.
No,
it
it's
passed.
it's not in the bill as enrolled.
Get scrolling.
I already got scrolling. I looked.
Let me find the line number for you.
There is no mention of a moratorium anymore. And if there is, you're looking at
Line
the
number
wrong bill.
3046. Yeah, they cut the moratorium out. They kept in all the other shit.
I know. That was
This
the
is a
part I
far
was
cry
most
from sub
concerned.
4 that cut the entire section.
Yeah, I know, but this is much less problematic than having a moratorium, which is what I was talking about.
Okay. Anyways, continue.
The original version of the bill would have prohibited Salt Lake City from eliminating or restructuring any traffic lanes for the next year because suburbanites are pissed off about road diets downtown.
Wow, I can't drive 35 through some random local street and run over 5 children in my Chevy Suburban because the city put down a speed bump and a concrete circle.
There's 3 lanes and a bike lane on West Temple. Second South now has 2 lanes and a bus lane. I'm a child.
Woe is me.
I don't know.
Traffic is the same as always, and the city is safer for everybody who's not currently driving.
No.
Wow.
Wrong. Woke. So.
It's not even funny how many traffic studies the city does before these things.
But yes, it is. This bill tries to make Salt Lake City basically consider vehicle traffic above other traffic on these things and forces them to cede
interestingly-
additional power to NIMBYs.
Yeah, it kind of takes vehicle traffic as a force of God, as if you will.
Well, and also is the most
in that
important thing.
Yeah, over everything else, and it stakes out all space on all public roadways currently allocated for motor vehicles, as always for and always has been for motor vehicles. Doesn't consider that maybe these 2 ox cart wide streets I don't know, you could probably fit a few dozen ox carts on these streets, could be for more than just what they were in the 70s?
No. Wrong.
Great. Okay, I'm thinking we go through the bill real quick, and then we can talk about
What do we need to go
the drama.
We know what the bill does. The bill requires Salt Lake City to...
Okay, we know this. We have not explained it very well to the audience, so I would like to go through in clear language the bill. And I guess we can talk about the drama as we go. So, for those following along at home, we are on Senate Bill 195 from 2025, substitute number 7, as enrolled, line number 3046. There was a lot of other crap in this one. Real sausage making here. Okay, so let's start from the top. This is a bill specifically targeting Salt Lake City. The original version of the bill was a city of the first class and a county of the first class with an international airport in its boundaries, which is an evolution of the slime used for the Ryan Smith bill, which also included West Valley. So they fixed that, so they can only target Salt Lake City. Later substitutes changed this to Salt Lake City because evidently people were pissed. The cornerstone of this bill is attacking what the state calls a highway reduction strategy. Whoa, the urbanists are reducing highways.
Kyle, I don't think that's I don't think that's necessarily a buzzword. I think that's like the technical term.
Well, that is the technical term, but it's very clearly from an angle of, evil people are taking away our precious car space. It does not focus on any positive aspect whatsoever of a road diet.
Evaluate the cumulative multimodal and safety impact of the proposed highway reduction strategies, including the cumulative impact from previous highway reduction strategies implemented over the previous 5 years. Cumulative
that's included at the bottom,
and
not at the top.
Impact. No, it's not. It's the fourth one down.
I'm not saying it doesn't say this. I'm saying the focus and the light is on taking away space from cars. Like if you look at, say, I don't know, Salt Lake City's complete streets ordinance, the focus is on, here are all the good things this could do, here are all the people this could help, and the footnote is, but it might take space away from cars. Anyways, minor details. Okay, so the final enrolled version of the bill says the city needs to extensively study anything that might take away lanes or, crucially, also narrow lanes, which happens on basically every city street restriping, because turns out having 12-foot freeway-wide lanes is just asking for a vehicular manslaughter to happen. And any other strategy that might cause congestion. Woo, we love our traffic studies. The previous version of the bill also included any addition of a traffic control device, which would include just like, I don't know, a crosswalk. Also included speed bumps. So literally you could not do anything. We couldn't even get like, I don't know, a new crosswalk on State Street, which can be life-changing for people. But this new version is just lanes. So that's very good. So anything the city might want to do in the amended version says the east side of the city needs to go through a massive study process.
Is it until 2035? Yeah.
Until 2035, although there's a sunset review in 2028 or 2029.
Which will
hopefully
pass.
We can get something there. I figure these always do. So, yay, we get a free pass for the west side. We can continue the traffic calming triage out there. Turns out it was a terrible idea doing the downtown grid streets in Rose Park, where there just aren't lane stripings because it's just like some random local street.
Yeah, but for a mobility plan described under the section that we were talking about, the city is required to assess alternate routes for traffic, then impacts on surrounding highways. Evaluate impacts to vehicle trip time. Evaluate impacts to air quality. Provide options to mitigate negative impacts to vehicle traffic, vehicle trip time, air quality, or adjacent travel routes. In other words,
and so on and so forth.
Car must be go, otherwise me sad, because
so
me suburbanite cannot take tracks downtown because stupid.
Yeah, and the force of God that is all this car traffic that descends upon the city every hour of every day may not be interfered with at all.
Well, and there's no way to move those trips to another thing that we spent a bunch of money on or anything. No. It's unstoppable, simply.
But anyway, so once the city prepares this very focused on vehicle statistics, not focused on, real people and long-term environmentally friendly transportation solutions, once the city has prepared the study, they get to present it to UDOT.
Yeah, for their review.
For approval.
Yeah. So
Mind you, these are on local Salt Lake City streets. UDOT already has sole jurisdiction on all the state highways that run through the city, which are many.
Yup.
Okay, and then we get to the moratorium section. The original version of the bill would have just halted, canceled all construction projects for a year. We've got a few sitting at 100% design, like ready to hit the shovels first thing in spring, like the fourth south and third west bike paths, and a whole bunch of different traffic calming stuff. So that moratorium would have killed all of that, wasted a ton of money and planning effort, and put like the entire city bike network behind by at least a year, probably more. So fortunately, that was amended out, thanks in no small part to a lot of pressure from the community, a lot of pressure from Sweet Streets. So now there's a fuzzy opening for projects, quote, advertised on or before February 25th, 2025, close quote. And there is an expedited review process for stuff that doesn't meet that. Apparently Fourth South and Third West don't meet the advertising requirement. I'm not sure what it is. No, they never legally defined these terms, so they get to go through an expedited review and hopefully still get built this summer. But the city's pushing really hard for that.
So it's a stinker of a bill, and it's just another example of the legislature sort of giving the big middle finger to Salt Lake City. And
Blue city in a red state much.
I wish they would just stop and leave us alone, because we do in fact elect our own representatives in our city who are perfectly competent to reflect our will.
Make our own rules and deal with our own streets. Like, the city already has very extensive planning and community outreach processes for any change to any street.
It's annoyingly expensive.
Unbelievable. It's painful sometimes. Like, the planning horizon is like years. The community meetings are many. The input, the revisions, the emails, they just go on and on and on. If anything, I would advocate for expediting the process a little bit. Like, we've seen what happens with their complete streets projects, like West Temple, where they're just doing a routine restriping or resurfacing, and they're just like, oh, stick a bike lane on there. Well, it can't hurt. I'd love to see more of that, but this just forces more of the review process we're already doing onto more projects and hands ultimate control over to UDOT.
To the state, because the legislature wants to control everything.
Yeah, and because the legislature doesn't like the answers the city finds when it studies streets. The legislature wants UDOT to come up with different answers.
There is downtown.
Holy fuck.
You remember
I
that
forgot
study
about
we
that.
have, which shows that of the 32,000 parking spaces in downtown Salt Lake City, something like 49% were being used before the pandemic on a peak day. Yeah.
Something like that. Now it's post-pandemic.
And it's even more. So, but we still have to have, a massive parking garage with our alcoholic beverages store. So.
Oh, did they actually build a new parking garage? I thought they were just feeding off of the neighboring ones.
It's still in plans.
Oh, God, I did not know they were building a new one. Have you seen the giant parking garage in the granary area?
I have. I think that's very stupid.
It's like 8 stories or something. I don't think it's even open yet because there's enough like empty lots to park on.
I think that's very silly.
I don't know. I'm starting to understand the city's process of using parking to placate people who complain about streets projects. Like when we did 9th South, they added parking spaces and, rejiggered everything to placate the people who were going to complain about this, that, or the other thing. And we got a beautiful bike path out of it. And we got a lot of investment in local business districts. So it feels like the giant parking garage in the middle of the granary is the city saying to all future developments, oh, no, quit it with the parking lots. We're good. We have got this big parking garage. And to all of the inevitable street reconstructions, oh, quit it. No, we're good. We got the big parking garage.
It's a pretty good idea.
Are we sure that the parking garage is owned by the city?
I doubt it is. It's partly state funded as a regionally significant parking structure.
Oh, that is actually the dumbest sentence that has ever been uttered. We need a regionally significant
Yeah.
parking structure. Oh my god, that's so stupid.
Yeah, I don't have all the dirt on who owns it and who paid for it.
But I would like to, on the very off chance that you are listening to this, our glorious leader, Governor Cox, you should line item veto this bit and leave us alone. Please. Thank you. I voted for you.
Please. Yes, like this is unquestionable overreach into a city that already has enough crap to deal with it and is designed to make our streets less safe. Like, even the dumbed down version of this bill, we will be able to attribute deaths on city streets in the coming years to it.
Whatever. People should die. They're woke.
Yeah, the woke bicyclists.
Le woke bicycliste is the... Je ne supporte pas le bicycliste. I don't remember how to say it. I don't support bicycles parce qu'ils sont woke. Anyway, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, and to follow and leave us a rating on iTunes and / or Spotify. If you like what we do here, consider becoming a member on Patreon. Patrons receive early access to all of our regular content, as well as exclusive episodes and occasional merch drops. Speaking of patrons...
Oh, we're out of this like a GA plane on a runway.
Oh, we're going to have time to yap after the patrons, but I do have stuff to do tonight, so...
Okay. I'm mostly just giving you crap for not giving me enough time to grab the patrons.
Oh, well.
All right, Frontrunner tier, let's go.
At Frontrunner tier, which would not exist if this stupid 60% thing was enacted, we have Zach Adams, Aaron, Curtis Herring, Devin Zander, Phobos2390, and Tony Stuntz.
At $5 a month, our regionally significant redline tier, we have Christopher Whaley, DJ
Hi, Will.
Watkins,
Hi, Will.
Elijah Kensler, Isaac Madsen, Jesse Mayo, Nebula, Reluctant LA resident Robert P. Walsh, and Zephyr Zamoro.
At our blue line, what if UTA ran a countywide parking enforcement department for the lulz tier, $3 a month? We have Alex Dykelski, Alice MYOB, Ben, Ethan McDonald, Evelyn, G4, Jack McCoskey, Litmus Zest, Martine Hecker-Martinez, Matt Gray, McKay Ransom, Oliver, Sam Myers, Sky Lukowski, Toronto Transit Channel, and Zach Verstott.
And at Green Line tier, to the blighted area around
The Salt Palace
Convention Center and the Delta Center, we have Benjamin Wood, Joshua S. Horvath, Kapil, Ryan Bailey, and William Rowe.
Thank you all. We couldn't stay remotely sane without you guys.
Oh, well, I mean, depends on your definition of sanity.
I did say remotely sane.
Okay, that's
I didn't say
fair.
like sane.
That's fair.
Yeah. Maybe we should use the Patreon money to buy Ryan Smith a copy of Cities Skylines 2 so he can
becomes like
city
woke.
roleplay in there
Yeah.
instead of real life.
Well, I think he would maybe have better ideas if he played more City Skylines.
He might actually.
Because like the other day,
we need to...
I took my disused formerly incinerator area and turned it into a sports complex and or business district and or residential
instead
district.
of blowing up existing buildings and burying a road for a block?
Well, I was more referring to the ballpark project out at the old power plant. But,
oh yeah.
But yes, that would also be good to not blow up existing buildings, I think.
Yeah, I know. I've been so wrapped up in the Delta Center project and the state money pit for that we're gonna have to be paying into soon, whether we like it or not.
I'll Delta your
But I
center.
have forgotten to follow the ballpark project. How's that going?
Well, every time I go by there to go out to a place I volunteer on Sundays, there's like signs up showing renderings and stuff, and
Okay.
on the other side of the tracks from like the actual power plant, like between the freeway and the tracks, there's a whole bunch of townhouses that are going in. So
Yeah, I've seen all the townhouses. That's cute. Although it's a few years till the Gadsby plant's finally going to shut down.
they
I forgot
just
what the date is for that.
do it, because I would like to have that be like a nice riverfront district instead of a post-industrial wasteland.
Well, you know how governments in the U.S. are famous for like fucking over costs and timelines and
But this is
engineering
a private
logistics
development.
for major. No, let me finish. The United States governments are famous for fucking over infrastructure project timelines and budgets and everything by just making decisions on a whim. Pacific Corp is planning decades in advance and following through on the plans as originally planned, so everything will go through in a smooth and cost-effective manner.
Yeah, unless the state
So,
forces them to keep it open because they love coal and natural gas and wish they could sort of like
Oh
make
my
love
God.
in a pile
I
of
don't
coal.
think maybe the state representatives should just do that, just fill their rotunda with coal and go at it.
It would be more dignified than what normally goes on in there.
Best I can find is 2032.
Oh,
Yeah, 2032.
boo.
That's in 7 years, so it's
That's
not
a
even that long.
long
This is an entire
time.
fucking power plant. Yeah.
I could tear down a power plant in one afternoon.
Well, when you're talking about the
Again,
power
they
plant,
made a plan. They're following through on the plan.
I would simply not. I would stop.
And remember, they have a phasing process, so they're starting construction already. And eventually they've got a phase 2
You see,
for the
but I
2032
think that they should do it
generator
like My
shutdown.
City Skylines, where the demand bar is high and everything sort of just goes up.
just goes up. Well, that is what happens in real life once the zoning's in place.
Oh, interesting. You see, the thing is, they're not
Yeah,
really.
so most of the
The thing about the Gadsby plant is that it's mostly not running. It's just sort of for backup power at the moment. So hopefully that will be
which is a very important thing to have. So
No, I
presumably they're
think
going
we
to make sure
should
they have a
not.
replacement lined up by 2032. What, you want the grid to blow up like it's Texas?
Yeah, what's that type of the type of logistics, like last minute basically?
Just in time.
Just in time. Yeah, just in time logistics, but for electricity.
Well, electricity is just in time logistics. All the the right number of power plants need to be running just in time.
So
This is like if you build cars and the I don't know, glove supplier for your microchip factory goes out of business, and then the entire thing topples.
My question is, what's going to happen with all the empty land on the other side of the river? Because there's just like a huge bunch of empty lots on the other side of the river, and I want to know what's going to happen to them.
Like on the east side of the river?
Yeah, on the east side of the river. Just look at it on
looking
Google
out on
Maps.
the
There's just a
map.
huge empty lot.
Oh, we can probably look on the plat map too. Oh, that's the Fair Park staging lot.
Well, get rid of it.
I agree, but the Fair Park usually refuses to budge on this sort of thing.
They have the
Like, I've been
universe's
talking with some of the-
largest parking lot. What do they need that for?
I've been talking with some of the city planners, and they've been like the single biggest and perhaps only opponent to lane reductions on like 10th West, for example, which, mind you, is 2 or 3 lanes north and south of the Fair Park, but is like a gajillion in front of it, and are actively fighting against a bike path on 3rd north of the Fair Park because they want the road space for like vehicle logistics and shit during the fair, and are unwilling to accept alternative traffic management measures like hiring a goddamn flagger instead of shoving everybody through a 3-way stop.
Since we're moving other things to Daybreak, can we move the Fair Park to Daybreak?
I wouldn't complain.
I would be very pro moving the Fair Park.
Probably
to
our
Daybreak.
worst event space.
It sucks.
Like, if something is happening at the Fair Park, it is either like the biggest event known to the entire metropolitan area, or they're just cheap and they didn't get anything good.
Yeah, I think we should move the Fair Park to Daybreak. Larry H. Miller Company. I think that would make a great addition to what you're doing out there. So
Yeah,
you can
no, fine by me.
as a Salt Lake
the
City
city and county
resident-
building / library campus makes a much better event space.
As a Salt Lake County resident, please, God, take it. So, is that l'episode?
I think that is.
That's all I have to whine about right now. That's remotely topical. We could whine about other stuff. We could talk about infrastructure projects in Heber for all I care.
Yee.
But
In Heber?
in
I
Heber.
try to pretend Heber
But
doesn't
I think that's a
exist.
wrap for today.
Okay, in that case, I will kill the recording. Thank you for listening. Vote Democrat. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.